everybody, welcome back to the Stitch Sessions. If you're new here, welcome and thank you so much for joining me today. I am so over the moon to show you guys this new tutorial or this new project that I am working on. In fact, this is a part of a larger project. So in this week's tutorial, we are going to work on how to create this balloon applique. And you might think it's just as simple as just creating a circle with a little shell on the end, and essentially that's what it is. But the way I designed this was I didn't just use a regular double crochet stitches. I actually used the linked double crochet stitch. And I love how it creates this just extra little bit of texture. And it really does look more like a balloon as opposed to just a crochet circle. So I'm so excited to share this with you guys. I will also be showing you how I take this applique. So you can just keep it as a simple applique that you sew onto other projects. But I'm also going to show you how you're going to take the applique and turn it into a square motif. So in this case, I've already started doing the border around it. It's still in a circular formation, but it will be from here that I will transfer it into a square motif. So I'm going to take you through that step by step, and look out for these little balloons in the future because I am working on a larger project for this. And of course, if you're already watching this in the future, I will leave a link in the description box down below to that project. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you how I create this applique. And the yarn I'm using is this luscious and beautiful Flex yarn, and it is by Loops and Threads. And in case you're wondering, this is called Salmon. I believe that this might be the end of this yarn, I guess we're going to call it. I have been seeing it discounted. So usually when things are discounted, it means they're going to be discontinued. So this is the end of winter 2022 going into spring of 2022. So if you're watching this around then, you may still be able to find this. Generally, you get this at Michael's. Otherwise, I'm not sure if you can find it on Amazon. Sometimes when it's been discontinued on Michael's, it goes on Amazon for a little while. So you can check that out. In fact, if it is there, I will leave a link for it in the description box down below. This is considered a medium 4-weight yarn, and it comes in 185 gram balls, or 355 yards, or 324 meters. So in case you're curious about the yarn that I'm using, it does call for a 5mm hook, and that is indeed the hook I'm going to be using today, which is also known as an H or a size 8, okay? Also make sure you always have a handy pair of scissors and a darning needle to sew in any ends you may have. Now, before we get started, I just want to make sure that, just to kind of explain to you that these right now, you can see these appliques, they lay in my hand, okay? Now, all of these have been done using a medium 4-weight yarn, but this one looks a lot larger than this one. And this was also done with a medium 4-weight yarn. So I like to remind people that just because something has a label on it, like not all medium 4s are created equal. Not all lightweight 3s are created equal. So if you would like to make your balloon motif larger, I would use a heavier weight yarn. Okay, so if you wanted to even, you could get away probably with using a bulky 5. I wouldn't use a super bulky 6. I just think it would lose its, that's just me personally. I mean, for you, go ahead and give it a shot if you want to. I just think it would lose the essence and the detailing of the balloon motif. So I'm using a medium 4-weight yarn here, okay? So guys, let's dive right in. Okay, so to begin, what we want to do is we want to start with a magic ring, okay? So this is how we create a cinched in center for our balloon. So what you're going to do is you're just going to wrap the yarn around 2 fingers and make sure the long portion crosses in front. This is, of course, for those of you that are a little newer and are unfamiliar with creating the cinch circle. I then insert my hook and I pull up a loop. It's really just like I'm going to create a slip knot. The difference is when I take my fingers out, I am not going to cinch this ring shut, okay? So what I want to do right away is, and this is where it can be a little bit awkward, is I want to chain 1. And that chain 1 will really secure my ring. See that? Now I'm just going to make sure to get the tail out of the way. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to chain an additional 2. So we have 1 and 2. And this will give me the height of a double crochet stitch. So what we're going to do now is for our first round, we are just simply going to use regular double crochet stitches. And then we're going to transition to using the linked double crochet. So by the way, if you have not seen my Loops and Arrows throw, that blanket was created using completely all linked double crochet stitches. It was so pretty. I invite you to check that out as well. Okay, so what we're going to do now is into the center of the ring, we're going to insert our hook and place a double crochet stitch. So you pull through 2 and pull through 2, just like that. Okay, and you're going to continue placing double crochet stitches into the ring until you have a total of 12 stitches all together. Okay, and keep in mind that this chain 3 does count as a stitch. So I'm going to leave you to go ahead and do that. And once you've got your 12 double crochets, I will take you through what happens next. Okay, so I have completed my 12 stitches, so I have something that looks like that. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that little tail and I'm going to cinch the center of my circle shut. Don't be afraid to pull a little bit tightly, just like that, okay? And now what I want to do is I want to slip stitch to join my round. So remember, you want to find the top. Oh, there's a pesky hair there. There we go. So remember, you want to find the top of that chain 3, and that is where we're going to slip stitch to join, because the chain 3 does count as a stitch. Just like that. Okay, so that is round 1 of your balloon. And now what we're going to do is we're actually just going to go into the space between these stitches, and we're just going to slip stitch into that space. So for round 2, we're not going to work into the loops of the stitches. We're going to work between the posts. So you see, if I just stretch that out, you can see there's spacings there. So that's what we're going to do for round 2. And now we are going to begin using our linked double crochet stitch. Now for the very first stitch, there's several different ways that people start the linked double crochet. This just happens to be the way I do it. So if you're one that knows a stitch well and does it differently, then I invite you to do it the way you're most comfortable. So I begin by chaining 2, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the first chain. I'm going to insert my hook and pull up a loop. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the space right here and I'm going to pull up another loop. Okay. So I have 3 loops on the hook as I would with a normal double crochet. Now I'm going to pull through the first 2 and I'll pull through the second 2. So what that did by me going into that first loop, so see the chain 2, that will count in this project as a stitch. And so by going into the first chain, it linked the next double crochet to that one. And I hope you can see that because I know the flex might make it a little confusing there. So we're going to do it again. And so technically we now have 2 stitches inside this space. We're going to move into the next space to place another 2 stitches. So round 2 will be an increase round. So we are going to increase our number of stitches by double the amount that we started with. So we have 12, we should end up with 24. So to do the linked double crochet again, now that I have a regular stitch, see that horizontal bar there? Hopefully that fleck is not distracting you. I'm going to insert my hook right there. So normally with the double crochet you would yarn over, right? But in a linked double crochet what you do is you go into the stitch that was just worked and you insert into that horizontal bar there and you pull up a loop and then you go into the stitch, or in this case the space you're working into, to pull up the next loop. and I realize these flecks might be a little distracting, so hopefully this is making sense to you. So then you yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the next 2. So you can see there that now this bar is linked to the previous stitch. So we're going to place another one in the same space. So now I can see this bar is here. I'm going to insert there first, pull up a loop, and now I'm going to go back into that space and pull up another loop. So I have 3 loops on my hook, and I pull through 2 and pull through 2. Okay, so you can see that they're all now kind of carrying over to each other. So if I bring this one back up, see how these little ridges are coming across there? That's because we went into the loops in the front first. So that's what links them all together. And because we placed 2 stitches into each space, this is what creates that little kind of Ferris wheel look. Okay, so I'll do that again. So we're going to go into that crossbar in the front, pull up a loop, and now we're going to go into the next space. So right there, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. See? Continues to link. So one more time, into that front bar, pull up a loop, back into the space, and now resolve like you would as usual. See? So it's creating a really pretty little ridge there. Love that. All right, that's what you're going to do for the whole round. And when you come to the end, you should have a total of 24 stitches. So once you've done that, meet me back here and I'll take you through what happens next. Okay, so I have completed round 2 and I now have 24 stitches. And now you can see by working in the spaces, it really just gives it that pretty little wheel-like effect. So now we're ready to close off round number 2. And what you're going to do is you're going to find the top of that chain 2, which is right there. Okay, so if you come around and you go, oh, I only have 23 stitches, but I did 2 stitches into each space. Remember that that chain 2 sometimes can get hidden. It can fall in there. So just don't forget to stretch it up, look for it, find it. There we go. And now I'm going to slip stitch to join. Okay, and that is how I choose to join my linked double crochet rounds. Like I said, there's several different ways out there of doing it. I just think that this looks the most uniform to me. Okay, and we're almost done. Now all we need to do is just create the little cinched bottom part of the balloon. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to slip stitch into the actual next stitch over right here. And I'm going to chain 2. So I've got 1 and 2. And then I'm going to place 3 more linked double crochet stitches back into the same area here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go back to the first chain. I'm going to insert and pull up a loop. And now I'm going to go into the same stitch. And then I'm going to do a linked double crochet. So there's 1. Then I find that bar. And then I go into the same stitch. So that's what creates that pinched look. And I've got 1 more here into that bar, back into the same stitch, and we are done. Okay, and there you have it. There is our balloon applique. It's really as easy as that. Now you notice I didn't snip my yarn because in a moment I'm going to show you how I'm going to create a square motif around this. So if you're just doing this as an applique, you would snip your yarn, fasten in your ends, and you are done. Isn't that adorable? And I love how this flecked yarn really just gives it that extra little bit of texture. So that is the balloon applique. So now let's go on to creating a square motif around it if you want to create a background palette. Okay, now because I'm going to create a palette around it, I'm going to introduce another color. So for this one, I'm actually going to bring in a yellow, a nice bright yellow, and it's also the fleck yarn. And what I am going to do here is now I will snip my yarn, leave a little bit of a tail, but notice I am not going to knot it off. In fact, because this little kind of cinched portion is sticking out here. We're gonna make this as part of round number 3. Okay, so this is gonna be round number 3 of our motif. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually just gonna pull that last loop out. So anytime you are joining a new color and you want this to come across nice and seamless, so let me just start that last linked double crochet. So I'm gonna go in through the bar, pull up a loop, go back into the stitch, okay, pull through 2, but now I'm not going to use this color to resolve the final stitch. So this is where I drop it and I bring my new color, and that is the color I pull through. I know some of you that have followed me, you've seen me do this many times in other projects. See that? And then I just cinch that tight there. And now my new color is ready to go, and it does not disturb the stitches up the top here. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, and if you want, you can just create a little knot here with these 2 colors. We're gonna work over them, and I'm gonna cut this one a little shorter. And then I'm just gonna try and work over these tails as I go, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna work around our balloon, but we're actually gonna work into the back loops only. So again, as simple as this motif is, it's all about creating texture. So see, with the linked double crochet, we had this ridge here, and now we wanna create a nice outline for our balloon. So exactly what I did in this one, so you see this created, the texture is from the linked double crochet, and now see this ridge here? That's because in this round here, we worked into the back loops only, okay? So let's get cooking on that, and I'll show you how to do that. So now we are just gonna go back to working regular double crochet stitches, okay? So you're gonna yarn over, and right where we had that bunch of stitches right next to it, we're gonna go into the stitch right beside it. We're gonna go into the back loop only, and I'm gonna work over those tails, and we're just gonna place 1 double crochet, just like that, okay? And now into the next stitch, we're gonna place 2 double crochets. Actually, I'll take these tails out of the way so they don't confuse any of you. So I'm gonna go into the back loop of there, and I'm gonna place 1 double crochet, and then I'm gonna go back in and place 2 double crochets. Okay. Whoops, I have to resolve that. Okay, so I've got 1 and then I have 2. This is what I'm gonna repeat all the way around. So into the next stitch, I'm gonna place 1 double crochet. Then I move into the next stitch and I'm gonna place 2 double crochets. So you're gonna alternate 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, etc., etc. Okay, so in round number 2, we had 24 stitches. At the end of round number 3, including your little balloon cinch here, you should have 36 stitches. So we are increasing 12 stitches with each round. And it's as simple as that, okay? So don't forget, back loops only. Alternate 1, 2, 1, 2, and I'll meet up with you when you're ready to join round number 3. Okay, so I have completed round number 3, and my work looks something like this. So you can really see the balloon applique is really popping through. So we just need to slip stitch to join our round. So you're gonna find the top of that chain 2, and it's easy to miss it and go here. If you go there, you'll be short a stitch, so you really wanna be careful. So I do wanna find the top of that chain 2. I'm gonna slip stitch to join. Okay, there we go. Isn't that neat? Okay, so now we're going to go into round number 4. And so we're going to start the same way. We're going to do a little chain 2. So what I want to do is I want to go into the next stitch, and I'm going to go into the full stitch, and I'm going to slip stitch over. So I'm just moving my starting point over a little bit there. Okay, so I'm just going to slip stitch, and now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, and a lot of times many of you will notice that I tend to chain 3 for my double crochets, but certain projects I will chain 2 if I want them to sit a little bit more snugly. Okay, and so in this round what we're going to do is we are going to place another double crochet back into the same stitch. Okay, just like that. So technically we have 2 stitches coming out of that one. And now we're going to place 1 double crochet into the next stitch. And then 1 double crochet into the next stitch. Just like that. So we have 2, 1, 1. Into the next stitch, we're going to place 2 double crochets. So that is going to be our pattern repeat for this round. Okay, so you have 2 double crochets, and then you're going to have 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet. Okay, just like that. So 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1. Do that all the way around. And at the end of round number 4, you're going to have 48 stitches. So remember, at the end of round 3, we had 36. We increased by another 12. We're going to have 48 stitches. So I'll meet you back here shortly. Don't you just love that? So now we're going to square off this motif. So we are going to begin now round number 5. Okay, so to begin round 5, we're going to chain 2. And then into the next stitch, we're going to do a half double crochet. So we're going to yarn over as usual, pull through, but this time when we yarn over, we're going to pull through all 3. So that chain 2 now counts as a half double crochet, and this one also counts as a double crochet. And then into the next 2 stitches, we're going to place a double crochet. So by changing the heights of our stitches, it's going to help us to shape that squared off motif. Okay, so we have 2 half doubles and 2 doubles. Into the next stitch, what we want to do is we want to create a corner. Okay, so I purposely did not start with the corner, so it would definitely make life a lot easier if we just started right away with the corner and then did a side and corner, side, corner, and it does make life easier. However, I specifically waited to create my corner because I want my balloons not to necessarily sit straight in the motif. I want them to slightly angle. So you see, by creating the corner here, that's going to create the need for the balloon to be on an angle. All right, so we are now going to begin a corner. So into the next stitch, what you're going to do is you're going to place a double crochet, chain 2, and then double crochet right back into that corner. Or sorry, right back into that stitch. So we're creating a corner there, okay? And that chain 2 really helps the work bend there a little bit. So anytime we create a corner now, it's going to be a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a side. So that means we're going to take our rounded shape and we're going to straighten it out. So into the next 2 stitches, you will place a double crochet. So we have 1 and we have 2. Okay, and now into the next 7 stitches, we're going to place a half double crochet. So we're going to go down in height just a wee bit. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook, and then pull through all 3. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, and then into the next 2 stitches, you're going to place a double crochet again. So we're going to go back up in height just a wee bit. So there's 1 and there is 2. Okay, now we'd be ready for our next corner. So if I just set this down, you can now see that our circle is starting to straighten out on the side. So between each corner stitch, or between each corner, there's going to be 11 stitches. So we're not going to count these 2 stitches here. So in each corner, we know it's a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. So if we just take those out, all the stitches in between this corner and the next corner should be 11. So at this point now, whoops, I am ready to do another corner. So into the next stitch, I'm going to place a double crochet, chain 2, and double crochet. Okay, just like that. And then I start the process all over again. So I would start and place 1 double crochet, and then another double crochet, and then I do 7 half double crochets and 2 double crochets. So see, the center, it's always flanked by double crochets. So we have our corner, 2 double crochets, 7 half double crochets, and 2 double crochets. I'll just leave a little graphic here up on the screen, and if you want, you can press pause while you're working on the other corners and just remember that. So in each corner, you're going to place a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet. And then in the next 2 stitches, it's going to be a double crochet, and then you're going to place 7 half double crochets, then 2 double crochets again, and you're back into your corner. Okay, so now we're ready to do the final round, which is round 6. And this will just help solidify the square shape, our sides and our corners, okay? So I always like to begin and end square motifs in corners. It just creates a much more seamless look, and that's why we slip stitched over. So in this corner, we're going to begin by chaining 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will count as a double crochet, chain 2. Now back into the same corner, we're going to place 2 double crochets. Okay, so we have to make sure that our work continues to lie flat and doesn't buckle. So we're going to add a few more stitches here. So you see this is a partial corner, okay? So we did chain 3 and then chain 2. So that's technically a double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochets. When we come back around, we'll add 1 more double crochet to complete this corner. Now, what you always want to be aware of when working into square motifs in the round, I know that sounds funny, the loops created by our stitches always sits to the right of the stitch, so the top loop's there. And when we're working in corners, it's so easy for this one to get lost. And a lot of times people might go ahead and go into this one thinking that's the next one, but that is not the next one. This one is. So always make sure, don't be afraid to push your stitches aside so you can make sure that you can see the very next stitch. So coming out of every corner into the very next stitch, we are going to place another 2 double crochets into this stitch as well. Okay, so we have 1 double crochet and 2 double crochets. Okay, so that's just helping us come nicely around the corner there. And now into every single stitch all the way across, you're just simply going to place 1 double crochet into each stitch until you have 1 stitch left before the corner. So we're going to go into every single stitch, and once we get to this stitch, we need to place 2 stitches in there. But I'm just going to go ahead and finish this, and I'll meet up with you when you're in your last stitch of this side. Okay, I have 1 stitch left. Now into the last stitch of every side, I'm going to place 2 double crochets. So just like I did at the beginning of the side. So on either side of every corner, the stitch before and the stitch after the corner, you're always going to place 2 double crochets. Then into the corner, you're going to place 2 double crochets. So this is going to deviate slightly from the previous round. So there's 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then go back in and place another 2 double crochets. So we're adding a lot of extra stitches in this round. Okay, so that's the corner, the official corner. And then remember, into the very first stitch coming out of the corner, there it is, I'm going to place 2 double crochets in there. So we are definitely adding lots of stitches in this corner, and it's just helping our work sit nice and flat so we can come around the corner there. And then once you're along the side, you're just going to continue as usual, 1 double crochet into each stitch until you come to the very last stitch, when again you'll place 2 double crochets, create your corner, and then into the following stitch 2 double crochets, and then you keep going. So I think you get the gist there. So if I lay that down, so now you can really see, and this is still the first corner, but see how much straighter that is? So our center was very circular, and then we formed it into a square. So go ahead and finish your next several sides. So you're going to finish the next one corner, next one corner, next one, and then I'm going to meet up with you just in the last few stitches. Remember, we slip stitched over, so see how it created a little ridge there? I'm going to meet up with you here and show you how that will disappear, okay? Okay, so I have completed 3 and almost all of my sides. So you can see that square motif is coming along. So I just wanted to kind of take you through ending off here, because remember when we slip stitched over, I went into the back loops only, and I did that purposely so that I could work into the full stitch. So to make this ridge disappear so that it stays nice and uniform, I'm actually going to just find the forward ridge of the actual stitch. So this is the slip stitch, these 2 V's at the top. This ridge belongs to that half double crochet. So I'm just going to make sure I get under that ridge as well as under the slip stitch. And then I'm going to double crochet as usual. Just like that. See? It just kind of makes it all disappear. So I'll do that again into the next one. So this is the next double crochet here. And there is the bottom ridge of the double crochet, and then there's the slip stitch above it. So I'm just going to go under that, under all of those stitches, and pull up. Now it might be a little bit tight, and this is why you have to be careful when you slip stitch over, not to be too tight there. Whoops. And that way you can get your hook under there. And then we double crochet. So see that? So now it's looking a lot more uniform. And I'm just going to do that all the way to the end. Until I have my last stitch here. Oh, gets a little bit feisty. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go into this very last stitch here. So sometimes this one gets missed a little bit too. So I'm going to go into this stitch here. Just like that. And if you're uncertain, in round number 6, you should have 19 stitches on each side. Okay, so, and by the way, if I forgot to previously mention, at the end of round 5, you will have 52 stitches in total, okay? So that previous round was 52 stitches. Now we added quite a few stitches in each corner of round 6, so that's why we jumped up quite a bit. So at the end, you should have 76 stitches in total. So that means 19 stitches on each side. So if you're a little uncertain about this little portion here, just go back and count. And I know I have 18 stitches currently. So remember this chain 3 and then chain 2. So that counts as one of our double crochets. So we need to place one more double crochet into this corner, just like that. And then I'm going to slip stitch to the top of the 3rd chain, 1, 2, and 3. And now round 6 is complete. And we have a very nice solidly shaped square for our balloon. And I like to always just kind of stretch out the corners there. And of course, you know, through blocking, once you finish your project, it'll all come up nice and even. And there you have it. this is how I would square off my balloon motif, and you can use this in so many different ways, which you guys will find out very soon in the project that I am working on. So I hope you had fun discovering a new little square motif and creating this really quick and easy little applique. This would look really cute on a child's cardigan as well if you just want to sew on the applique. So I hope you found it fairly straightforward. If you have any questions, as always, just pop them for me in the comment box down below, or if you like to, you can email me directly at info@crochetcrafty.com, and always come visit me on the website and sign up for my free monthly newsletter because I give away a free written pattern every month. And I can't wait to actually show you guys what I'm going to be using this motif for. So stay tuned because it's not far off from showing up here on the channel. As always, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out with me. I appreciate your company. I appreciate you. I hope that you are all doing well and taking care of yourselves and those around you. It's so important to stay connected to other people. I think community is so important to enriching our lives. And I feel like crochet is a community in its own that does that for me. So thank you. Have an amazing day, everyone. Take good care, and I'll see you guys in next week's session. Bye-bye.